Some disasters leave ruins, others leave scars, but a few leave shadows. Shadows that watch, shadows that warn, shadows that never leave. In the spring of 1986, the city of Pripyat lived in the glow of a promise. Wide Soviet boulevards, tidy apartments, laughter in the courtyards. Children played, workers drank, and the nuclear power plant stood like a monument of progress. But high above the smokestacks, something else circled. Something wrong. A figure with wings stretching wider than a truck, gliding without sound. Human-shaped, but not human. And its eyes glowed red, as if lit from within. At first, only a few dared whisper about it. But soon, the story spread. Workers claimed they saw the creature perched on rooftops, its gaze fixed on reactor number 4. Others said it followed them through the night streets, a shadow stretching long across the pavement. Those who saw it were never the same. Their sleep was broken by dreams of fire and falling walls, of choking black smoke. Some woke gasping, their sheets soaked in sweat. And then came the phone calls. Phones rang in the still hours before dawn. When answered, there was nothing but static, until a low, distorted voice whispered warnings in a language no one understood. By morning, the men were pale, shaken, unable to speak of what they heard. They had seen it, the Black Bird of Chernobyl. Pripyat was young, alive, full of energy. But in those final weeks before the disaster, something dark settled over it. The air seemed heavier. Streetlights flickered for no reason. Radios crackled with bursts of static, especially near the power plant. Workers grew restless. Some refused night shifts. Others begged for transfers. One man swore the winged creature pressed its face against the control room glass. Another claimed it followed him home, its shadow crawling across his walls until dawn. Most stayed silent, but the silence was fear. April 26, 1986, just after 1:23 a.m. Reactor number 4 exploded. The ground shook, windows shattered, alarms wailed. A column of flame shot into the sky, burning graphite raining down like black snow. The night turned red, brighter than sunrise, deadlier than war, and in the chaos, survivors swore they saw it. The Black Bird, hovering in the smoke, its wings spread wide over the burning reactor, its eyes blazing like fire itself. Those who fled felt it behind them, its presence heavy, its shadow moving in the corridors of the plant, watching them stumble through the choking ash. Chernobyl was no longer just a disaster site, it had become something alive. Beyond the plant stood a forest, once green and vibrant. But within hours of the explosion, the trees turned a deep, unnatural red. Radiation had poisoned them instantly. Leaves shriveled, trunks blackened. The forest became a graveyard, a permanent scar. But at night, the stories began. Soldiers guarding the area whispered that the trees glowed faintly under the moonlight. Explorers who entered claimed they felt watched, as if dozens of unseen eyes tracked their every step. Some heard branches snapping behind them, footsteps too heavy to be animals. Others swore they glimpsed tall, dark shapes moving between the trunks, shapes that spread wings before melting into the shadows. The Blackbird hadn't vanished. It had taken root in the poisoned land. The Soviets built a concrete tomb around reactor number 4, a sarcophagus of stone and steel. Officially, the reactor was dead, silent, contained. But those who worked near it told another story. At night, from deep within, came a low hum, a sound like a machine still running, a sound like a heartbeat. Radiation meters spiked without warning, their clicking rapid and frantic, before falling silent again. Engineers whispered that the reactor was not dead, it was sleeping. And in the shadows of melted steel, some claimed to see movement, a winged silhouette drifting across the ruins. The Blackbird, bound to the fire, feeding on the endless radiation. The reactor had exploded, but it had not ended. 2 days after the explosion, buses rolled in. 50,000 people left their homes behind, believing they would return. They never did. Pripyat froze in time. The Ferris wheel stands rusting, waiting for children who never came. Dolls lie in classrooms. Apartment windows stare out like hollow eyes. But explorers say the city is not empty. They hear footsteps on staircases where no one walks. Children's laughter echoing in schools where silence should reign. Figures appear at windows, gone the moment light touches them. One man swore he saw a figure on a balcony, still watching. When his flashlight found it, nothing. Only curtains swaying. And sometimes, those shadows spread wings. The men who saw the Black Bird before the disaster never escaped it. Some died that night, swallowed by fire and radiation. Others were sent to hospitals, their bodies breaking down, their skin blistered, their eyes hollow. Those who lingered told the same stories. Red eyes watching them in the dark, wings brushing the corners of their rooms, distorted phone calls following them across cities. The Black Bird did not leave with the evacuation. It followed. It haunted. To this day, locals say the curse lingers. Those who visit the reactor or wander too deep into the red forest sometimes return with stories of a shadow on the rooftops. A figure with wings stretched wide, its eyes burning in the night. What was the Black Bird of Chernobyl? A hallucination born of stress and radiation, a Soviet cover-up designed to silence witnesses, or something older, something that feeds on tragedy and appears only when death is near? Too many stories, too many witnesses say the same thing. A creature with wings like a storm and eyes like fire. Like the American Mothman, it is remembered as a harbinger of catastrophe. Not a savior, not a warning, but a shadow that thrives where human suffering burns brightest. And in Chernobyl, suffering never left. The red forest still glows. The reactor still hums. Pripyat still whispers with the voices of the lost. And in the silence of the exclusion zone, some still believe the Black Bird waits. Because some disasters end in fire, others in wings. And perhaps some of these stories are only myths, born from fear and passed from one voice to another. Yet they remain, because every myth carries a shadow of truth.